Body dysmorphia. Let's talk about it. What is body dysmorphia? Body dysmorphia, in my opinion, is something that you trick your brain into thinking is your reality that isn't. So, the best way that I could describe this is you got a camera and you have them lenses where it's like 18 millimeters all the way up to like 200, 300, whatever, okay? You have them zoom ones. What body dysmorphia is to me and what I do to myself, the way that I can put it into words so other people can understand it, is everyone else would see themselves through 18 millimeters, the shortest length, and they would look at themselves in the mirror and they would be like, that's what they see. Where with myself and other people that suffer with this is what we would do is we would zoom in to the maximum and we would look at every little fine detail and we would nitpick at ourselves. That's what I think body dysmorphia is. That's what I do. And it is probably one of the most unhealthy things and one of the hardest things that I've tried to get myself out of doing as well, which I'm still in a work in progress of doing. So I'm not going to come here and pretend like I have all the answers and everything because I don't. I just want to share my experience and some things that I can maybe pass down that someone is going through this, then if they can help them in any way, that would be great. But I just think that it's important to talk to you guys about now because it's something that I'm genuinely dealing with at this moment. And it's quite a hard one for me to talk about because it's something that's actually happening to me now. And I don't speak to people about this. I've spoke to my partner a couple of times and I wanted him to be in this video with me today. But other things gone the way. He had to rush into work. He had a late call last night. So I'm going to use ChatGPT and I'm going to go over some questions and I'm just going to answer them in my way and what's my personal opinion with it. What is body dysmorphia? Body dysmorphia, in my opinion, is something that you are conditioned to think is your reality that's not at a young age. And there's a lot of things that can play in parts of this. So there's magazines and stuff just comparing yourself to other people. But I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that is the main and sole reason for body dysmorphia. I think that the only reason people would ever compare themselves to someone in a magazine or anyone, model, TV actor, anything, would be because that they were mistreated as a child by their peers or maybe family members or whatever. With me, it was personally school. It was the people in school and people weaponized my looks and weight against me for whatever reason. I don't really know why, because looking back at myself, I was never a fat child. I was never, not that there's a problem with that either, but I was never a fat child and I was always called fat. I was always told that I looked disgusting. I was always told that I had really thick lips and a really thick nose. And yeah, them things then later in life stuck with me. And the way that I view myself now is not the same way that other people would view me. So I think body dysmorphia is your reality is different to the way that someone else's reality is of you. So the way that someone sees you is not the same way that you see yourself. So when you look in a mirror, you don't see the same person that they are trying to say, like, compliment you on. Like if someone's like, oh my God, your facial structure is so good and everything. And you're like, I've never really looked at my facial structure because the best way that I can describe this now, instead of looking at you, so you have a camera, you have an 18 millimeter lens and it zooms all the way to 200 mil, okay? 90% of the people, normal people would just look at themselves through an 18mm lens. They wouldn't be like zooming in and everything. And I feel like people with body dysmorphia or any sort of anxiety or anything along lines, because I think anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia can go very much hand in hand. But I think the normal average person, normal, would look at themselves through an 18mm lens, where someone with body dysmorphia would zoom right into 200 and they would analyze their whole body and they would criticize everything about themselves, from stretch marks, scars, I don't know, indents, but then they miss the bigger picture because they're too hyper focused on the small little things that, quite frankly, you have no way of changing. This is quite hard for me to talk about because, and the reason why I'm doing this video now is because this is something that I've always dealt with, but it got a lot easier, and it's something that I'm dealing with now, this moment. Like, I'm dealing with the last 3 months is where it's like hit a peak. And that's just because when we moved to this new place, things got in the way. I stopped going to the gym because it was like a 15-20 minute drive. And it was more of a financial thing rather than a losing lack of motivation or anything. And I just didn't have that confidence anymore because I weren't constantly working out. I put on a little bit of weight, nothing crazy. I'm a vegetarian for one, so I always watch what I eat anyway. But it was just something that I didn't feel confident. And the last like couple of weeks, it's got to like a stage where I feel like it's quite important to talk about this because I don't talk about it to anyone. I talk about it sometimes to my partner, but apart from that, I've never really spoke about this to anyone. Like, I think I might have touched on it with a old therapist, but I've never really talked about this, you know? And I think it's quite an important thing to talk about because I don't think men talk about this. I wanted Onyx to be here, but obviously he can't be because he's working. So I'm going to use ChatGPT and we're going to go through some questions and we're going to answer them together. So I'm just going to put, ask me questions about body dysmorphia. We do have Kyra right here, so hopefully she behaves. But yeah, we're gonna jump straight into this now, and yeah, let's get to it. So this is a good one. At what point do you think concerns about appearances cross a line into body dysmorphia? I think it's fine to care about your appearance, okay? Let's just put that out there. But I think a prime example that I can use with this is, so when I get up in the morning, I will shower and then I'll go into the wardrobe and I'll pick out an outfit, okay? Put the outfit on and then I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I don't like the way that my stomach looks there, or like the way that my back looks, say. And then I'll change into like 7 to 8 different outfits and I'll find everything that is wrong with the outfit, okay? And then I'll end up going back with the first one anyway. So I'll just waste like 40 minutes to an hour just trying on clothes, making the wardrobe a whole mess, and I'll just go with the first one. So I think when appearance crosses the line of body dysmorphia is when, instead of looking at the outfit and being like, this looks good, or looking at yourself as a whole and be like, this looks good, you nitpick at everything that looks bad. I think once you do that, then you've kind of set yourself up to fail. And I think that's when it turns into potentially body dysmorphia. So this is an interesting one, but I want to mix these two questions together. So it says, how does body dysmorphia affect your daily life? And how do you think body dysmorphia affects a person's mental health and self-esteem? The reason why I want to add these two together, because they're very similar. They're very, very similar, and they'd be a very similar answer. So I'm going to kind of like intertwine them. So how does it affect your daily life. The thing with the clothes, like I just said, so with going in and trying to change into an outfit after getting showered or whatever, and then looking at everything that is wrong with you, like not even the outfit. You're just looking at everything that's wrong with yourself. And I think that is a daily struggle that I still deal with. As for mental health and self esteem, there is nothing there. Like, you have to work on building your self esteem, which is what I'm currently in the process of doing. But it's hard because you've kind of like put yourself down and down and down for so many years. Trying to build that self esteem back up is a lot harder than it sounds. It's not just something you can be like, okay, you have to like trick yourself back into thinking a certain way, which, if you've tricked yourself into thinking a certain way all your life, that's really hard to do. And then with mental health, that just comes hand in hand. So you're more than likely going to be suffering from some sort of anxiety because you're constantly beating yourself up, and some sort of depression because when you tell yourself that you're not good enough over and over and over again, you're going to end up feeling that. How can body dysmorphia impact social relationships and daily activities? So, daily activities, we'll start with that one because that one's kind of an easier one. So, if you're in a situation where, I don't know, you're going swimming with a group of people, it's probably going to be your worst nightmare. It's probably going to be especially if you like struggle with that side of things as well. Like, anyone in that situation is not going to feel comfortable. But yeah, so with daily activities, you're just going to end up avoiding them, which is going to end up leaving you out of social situations, which is going to end up making you feel more isolated. And this is like something that I've done to myself for so many years. It's really hard to get out of. I'm a lot better at being in social situations now, but still to this day, I still have that like niggle at the back of my head that will probably always be there as well. As for relationships, also can come in hand in hand. You can end up taking things out on people that you love, and you can also end up pushing yourself away from people that you love as well because you feel that you're not worthy. Does that make sense? You don't feel like that you are up to the same level as them. Therefore, you want to like kind of just push yourself away or push the other person away, which can end up leading to relationships ending. It can end up to big family domestics and stuff. And I've done this all through my life. So that's something that I've noticed, I've learned, and I've grown from. Obviously, now I have a partner, so I've definitely learned in that aspect, but it's still really hard. Like, it's not something that is just deaded. My partner is like, he supports me all the way. He's everything that I ever wanted in a man. And at the start, I tried to push him away because I was so insecure about my own insecurities and my own thoughts that I tried, when I seen something good come into my life, I would try to push it away. And I think anyone with body dysmorphia will do very similar things. Not everyone, but I think that comes in hand with anxiety. So I would say that's more of an anxiety thing, but it happens because of this. I like this one. How do social media beauty standards contribute to body dysmorphia? They make unrealistic expectations. I can remember being a child and looking through all magazines, looking at all these guys with ripped abs and stuff. And then when you would see them on TV, say if they were doing a photo shoot, and you'd see them on TV and they'd look completely different. I think the media portrays people in such a way that it's too unhealthy. And I think we are moving past this a little bit now. Prime example that I can say with this, Vicky Patterson. I fucking loved her. I think she is great. I would love to meet her in person. I loved her on Geordie Shore, but I love the what she has done after Geordie Show. I'm glad, like, I'm happy that the show wasn't everything with her. Like, she's done some amazing things and stuff. But what I'm trying to get to with this is on her Instagram. I don't know if they're still there actually, but like, I don't know if she still does this either. But what she used to do, because she didn't like the way that her manager or whatever it was being like, you need to take like sexy pictures, or she just didn't like the whole media thing. She didn't like the whole that you have to look perfect a certain way. So what she would do would be like Instagram, and then she'd be like all sucked in, all looking really nice and stuff. And then she would be, but the reality, and then she would just let everything hang down. And I was just like, we need more people like Vicky fucking Patterson in the world, because I think she's great. I don't think she gets anywhere near enough credit for what, like, the person that she is. And I just really like her, and I like the fact that she kind of went against the media almost and was like, hey guys, it's not all what it seems. Because it is. It's a very unhealthy thing, especially for girls. Like, with men, we've got the whole guys with the abs, and then like they could put an oil on themselves, and then they like contouring to make it look better, which nobody really even knows, I don't feel like. And then with the girls, it's the same principle with both them, with airbrushing and stuff as well. And I just think that it's quite an unhealthy way to portray yourself to a very influential young group of people on social media. Yes, more people like Vicky Patterson in the world, I think, is necessary. Do you think body dysmorphia is more common in women or men, or affects both equally? It's such a hard one to answer, because I feel like it affects everyone individually, right? Yeah. So it depends on how you was brought up, the type of people that you had around you, and just everything in between. So it depends on your situation growing up, okay? But then again, I feel like men have more of the suicide rates, which then leads me to think, I'm like, do more people think the same way that I think and just don't speak about it? And then they build up and build up and build up. And then it gets to a point where we are at a more higher risk of suicide rates than females, because I feel like females will always try to boost each other up to an extent. I know and this can go both ways. Men can do it for men, women can do it for women. But I feel like the way that a girlfriend and a girlfriend has a relationship is way, way different to a man and a man. Like, the men don't want to talk about things, they don't want to talk about their feelings and stuff. Where the girlfriends would be like, oh babe, what's wrong? We broke up with him. Oh my god, I'll be over now with like Chinese and wine. And that's very like stereotypical to put them into them categories, but that is what we tend to do. And I did that for years. I never spoke to anyone about the way that I was feeling or anything. I don't think I ever talked to a friend about this ever in my life. I talked to a therapist, and I've definitely talked to my partner about this now, but growing up and stuff, I never spoke about that, because like having my dad and stuff, it was just like I never seen him really be like that, and I never seen any male figure kind of show their emotional side. So I don't know, maybe it's the game or something that's like unleashed, and I'm like, I don't care, I want to talk about my feelings. I don't know, but I feel like as men, we need to talk about things way more than what we do, because for us to be as high as we are on the suicide rate thing, it's not good. And I think that we need to support each other and probably take some inspiration from the girls, like if someone's having a bad day, go over, get 'em some beers and have, like, I don't know, whatever you straight guys or gay guys want to do. Like, you just get some Chinese, like watch a movie, watch the football. I couldn't think of anything worse than football, but you know what I mean? Do you? If that's what they like, they check up on your fucking friends. Like, everyone needs to be more involved with each other. I feel like we need to be looking out for each other more than what we do. How does the fitness and extreme dieting contribute to body dysmorphia? I think it's quite an unfair thing to say with the fitness culture. I can see it. I do see it. I know that people can always take something too far. And yeah, but I think that fitness is an unfair thing to put there. I think the fitness culture will always try to build you up, but I can see what it's saying because in the fitness culture, you're always going to be comparing yourself to someone else. You're always going to be looking at yourself and being like, I want to have this goal. I want to get to this standard. And I did this to myself for years. And last year, I got to the best shape of my life. And as soon as I got to that stage where my abs started coming through and stuff, I was like, and then I started setting different tasks and I had already reached like the main goal. But then I started doing I wanted to be completely lean. I wanted to get to like I wanted like 10% body fat, which is not impossible, but it's unrealistic for where I was at anyway. And I think that it just made me then lose almost motivation a little bit as well. I know I said that I didn't lose motivation earlier with the gym, and technically I didn't, but it was just because that I weren't getting to where I wanted to go because the people that I was comparing myself to were all on some sort of steroid or something, and I was doing it naturally. So I can see why the fitness culture can be there, and it definitely does play a role, but I think it's quite unfair to put it there. I think that the extreme dieting, I can 100% understand that. Like, there's certain diets that I just think are really, really unhealthy, and that I would never go down the route of doing. So it's just a hard one because to get in the best shape or the best version of yourself, you've got to use fitness and you do have to diet. You have to be in some sort of calisthenic diet or whatever. You need to watch what you're intaking to have the best version of yourself. Everybody knows this as well, and it's just a lot harder sometimes to do because it's very cheap to go to Lidl's and get a £2 pizza and just chuck it in the oven. Them two things are fine, in my personal opinion. I think that they're fine in moderate, but if you know that you've got some sort of like addictive personality and you know that you can take things too far, instead of going down the route of like the dieting thing, this is like the fitness thing. I think the only way you can get around that is stop comparing yourself and stop setting standards that you can't realistically get. With the dieting thing, I restricted everything I did. I turned vegetarian about 3 months ago, and I completely cut meat out. As I done this, luckily enough, there seem to be loads of these meat substitutes that come out now as well. But what I did that for health reasons, nothing else. I just wanted to get healthy, and I just love animals. And I'm not saying the people that eat meat don't love animals. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that I just love animals, and I needed to be a bit more healthy. But when I was going down the route of doing these unhealthy diets and stuff, the one thing that I never ever did was count calories. And I think that's really, really important to mention because anyone with some sort of addictive personality or body dysmorphia, you will get very easily addicted to counting calories. And I watched it happen to my best friend growing up. And it was just not a nice thing to watch. I watched her, she used to take the laxative tablets and stuff. It was just not, it can turn very dark very, very quick. So when I started working out and I was put into a calorie deficit, I would never count calories, but I would look at the calories. So like on the tin of beans or whatever, I would just be like 150 to 300 calories. I would just say that in my head. I wouldn't look at it and write it down. Just because my drug passed and everything, it was just not worth it for me to go down that route and potentially end up fucking myself up and later in the line. Like, you know what I mean? How effective do you think therapy is in treating body dysmorphia? Very interesting one because I can't really speak on that. I never went to therapy for body dysmorphia. I kind of went there for self harming and drugs, but apart from that, body dysmorphia maybe got brought up once or twice. But I think therapy is great. I think therapy. This is the thing. If you want it to work, it will work. If you don't want it to work, it's not going to work. Like that's as simple as it's gonna get. Like if you go into something and you start thinking negative and you start thinking that this isn't gonna work, it ain't gonna work. But if you go in there with the right mindset and you're like, you know what, I'm sick of feeling this way now, then you're more than likely going to get the best results that you could. I'm a strong advocate for therapy. I think it is very necessary in certain situations. I haven't seen a therapist in years now, but I went from the age of, God, I was like 9 when I see my first therapist because some stupid teacher in my primary school just didn't like me. And yeah, I ended up getting like an ADHD test, which turns out that I did have ADHD. But then I had to see psychologists and stuff for years and years afterwards until I was about 19, 20. I have like, because I'm on ADHD tablets, every year I have to go and see someone. But apart from that, I haven't seen someone in a support way that I need support from for about 4 or 5 years now. But I did it for years, years and years and years. So I'm a big advocate for it. I think that it is definitely necessary. And if you need help, don't be scared to reach out. What advice would I give to someone struggling with body dysmorphia? Um, I think the best advice is to stop comparing yourself to people and stop giving yourself unrealistic expectations. Once you can get that out of the way, then things kind of just go a bit more smoother. They slide into place a bit better. And just make sure that you have a good group of people around you. Like, I can't stress that one enough, actually, because I think what ruined my childhood more than anything was the fact that I allowed certain people to just be around me because I wanted people around. You know, like when you're younger, you're naive, you're stupid. And I just wanted that validation almost. I wanted to feel validated and I wanted to be a part of a group type of thing. I never got that because I allowed shitty company around me and it put a massive trust barrier up then with the way that I made friends later on in life, which pretty much made me have this problem, had the body dysmorphia. It was the way that I was treated and the way that people would use certain things against me, like calling me fat and stuff when I was a kid, and I was very skinny, which is bizarre when I look at photos now, but it's just a strange one. So the one advice that I would give is make sure that you have a good group of support, a support system around you, and just keep your family very close to you as well, because like family is everything. And when I was a kid, I didn't know that. And even when I was a teenager, I didn't know that. So when I come out of the whole addiction side of things and like looking for support and stuff, my family was the only thing that was there for me. So I think that that's very valid as well. Somewhere down the line, people are gonna have made you feel a certain way, and that's what will lead you then into like comparing yourself to people. This is how it worked with me anyway. But for a minute, if this is happening to you, for a minute, just step out of the box for 2 seconds and look at you and look at the other person. And realistically, in your head, think, is there any competition? I know that sounds so stupid to say, but this is the reason why people are usually cruel to people. People are usually cruel to people because they see him as a threat or like some sort of competition. If you can find that out, you can give yourself clarity and then you can stop worrying. And then if they say awful things to you, it won't affect you in the same way because you will know the truth then. You know that they're doing it because they're insecure or they see you as a threat. And I think that if I was told that at a younger age, or just told that in general, that I think my life would have gone a lot more smoother in like my just school life in general. So yeah, I think that would be the best advice that I can give. Don't care too much of what people are saying and what everything that they say. Analyze that. Step out that box. Look at it from a different like view and speak to people about it, because people, as soon as you tell people, that's what I mean, they can give you clarity on things like that as well. So I think that's very, very important. And I kind of just wish that I knew that at a younger age. I wish I went like 19, 20 when I found that out. It would have made life a lot more easier for me. So if I can share some of my knowledge and pass it down, and if people can take that on and it helps them, that is great. But that would be the best advice that I could give to someone dealing with body dysmorphia or to my past self. And that is it for this video. I wanted to have Onyx in this video, but obviously he's busy with work. But I have a really cool idea for our next video. I want to talk and let you guys in a little bit with our relationship, because I feel like this channel is becoming a little bit selfish, just me having my mug on here all the time. So I'm going to bring Onyx in and we're just going to share our story on how we met. So it's going to go two ways. It's going to be like either really awkward or really, really funny. I think it'll be funny, but we've never sat in front of the camera together, so that's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do for the next video. I want to keep it nice, sweet, and yeah, just share a little bit of our story, which is quite interesting, I think, personally, anyway. So yeah, if you want to check that out, it will be up next week. And remember, guys, this is a peaceful channel, so no negative comments. This is going to be like a place for us to all come as a group. So anyone has any questions, drop them down in the comment section. If you are struggling with anything that we've talked about, I will put some helplines in the description. And obviously you have my social media and stuff. If anyone wants to reach out on social media, I will try my best to get back to you. And I will see you next week.